Hi, it's Jenny from the Missouri Star Quilt Company. Sometimes when you make a quilt, like this one behind me, you end up with extra pieces. And I always love to find projects to do with those extra pieces. So today we're going to show you how to make a sprocket pillow. And this is what a sprocket pillow is right here. It's where you use the Dresden blade and you keep it flat and open and make a pillow out of it. So we're going to show you how to do that. So here's our extra pieces right here. And what we're going to do with these is we are going to sew them together with the wide ends all toward the outside. And that's going to make a circle. And you're going to have to sew 20 of these together. This is really an easy scrap project because you can do it really with leftovers. So let's sew a couple of these together and show you how quickly this goes. Again, we're going to chain piece these. Let me scoot these. These pillows are so cute, and no matter what fabric you use, they're just darling. So let's go ahead and chain piece a couple of these. So both of the wide ends are together, remember. So we're sewing from wide to narrow. Then I'm going to lay 2 more in, and we'll sew from wide to narrow. And you'll just do this, and you're going to do this 10 times because it only takes 20 blades to make a sprocket pillow. So when you get all your little sets together, your little 10 sets, then you're going to cut these apart and you're going to sew them through sets of 2s. Now you'll do sets of 2s like this, and it will end up being 4s. You know, and pretty soon, I mean, it doesn't take very long at all until you have 20 sewn together, and it makes the pillow really fast. So let me just go ahead and sew these together. There we go. When you get them all together, you're going to iron them. You don't really need to iron before that unless you want to. Some people are crazy about their ironing. So here's 4 of these together, and you're going to do that 5 times, and you will end up with a sprocket that looks like this. So this is the basis for our big pillow right here. It does have a hole in the center, so we need to cover that up. And how I do that is I look around my house to find the size of the circle that I want. You know, I use everything from saucers to cups to platters, depending upon the size of the circle. So right now, I actually used my drink cup lid because it was handy, close at hand. So I took the lid and I traced it on some heat and bond, just like this. And then ironed that heat and bond onto the fabric. And then I'm just going to cut this out. And I'm going to cut it right on the line. If I can. Got to be so careful. I'm like scaring myself to death here. Stay on the line, stay on the line. All right, pretty close. Finished is better than perfect, I always say. So then we have this piece right here. I'm going to peel this back off. You can roll it like this, or you can slash it and take it off too. It comes off really easy. So then I'm going to put that over the middle right here. Covers up our middle center, and I'm going to iron that down. Now you want to be a little careful because this hole is open, so you don't want to glue this to your ironing board. So stick a little paper or something under there. And then I just kind of eyeball it, make sure that I'm pretty even. And I go ahead and press that on there, and it will just stick on there. What I do then is I just use a decorative stitch and sew around it so that it, it just gives it a little bit of staying power. And so then, see, I have this little circle which I can now peel off. So then I'm just going to go and sew a blanket stitch around this edge here. And you can see that I've done that on these over here. I've just sewn a little blanket stitch around this edge, and it just, just a little added extra. So once you get that done, what you're going to do is you are going to take a piece of backing, and this top piece is going to be your pattern for cutting out your backing, and you're going to cut it out identical, so it's just exactly the same as the top. You're going to put right sides together just like this, and I'd probably stick a few pins in here, and you're going to sew all the way around the outside of this, and you're going to leave about a 6-inch opening because you got to stuff this baby. So let's go over and sew this once I've got this all pinned down here. All right, so we're over here at the sewing machine. I'm going to move those pillows out of the way. And I am just going to start sewing in a circle like this. And just sew all the way around it. You want to remove your pins as you get to them. So just keep a watch as you're going around so that you know where you began, so that you can leave about a 6-inch, 4 to 6 inch opening. And I see I'm coming up on mine right here, so I'm just going to stop right there so that I have room to turn. And that's so that you can, you have enough room to get your stuffing in. So then we're just going to open this up and pull the whole thing through this middle. I like to stick my hand in and kind of run it around that seam so that it'll lay nice and flat. And there's your Sprocket pillow. Now you just need to stuff it full of fluff. You can buy bags of fluff, but we don't have a bag of fluff store close to us, so I just go down to the little variety store, and I actually use pillows. So you can get pillows for about $2 a pop. I just open up the pillow and I use that to stuff my pillows, and it just works great. So once you get your pillow all done and stuffed and it's the thickness that you like, then you need to sew your little opening closed. And to do that, what I do, let me scoot this back here. What I do is I just fold these edges under like this, and I just go a little bit at a time, and I do what I just call a slip stitch. And so I take my thread, and I'm going to start back here, and I'm going to come out through the fold right here. And I'm using orange thread, which I wouldn't normally use, but I want you to be able to see this. And so then I just come down and I just catch the bottom fold like this. And then you try to keep your thread like underneath the fabric. So then you're going to kind of go down inside and come out through the fold. And it's kind of like that little binding stitch we use. I call it a ladder stitch. Golly, my thread's knotting terrible. There we go. And so then, you want to hide that thread, but you want to come out the fold also. So you're just going to go along until you get that all sewn up all across there so that no fluff can escape. We don't want any fluff escaping, and you want to keep that kind of round, make sure you keep your roundish look on there as you're going along. So you just fold a little more and fold a little more and just keep stitching it closed. So then it's time to put your button on. And I love old buttons. So I have these great old antique buttons. I have button jars everywhere. I love buttons. So you could use one of these buttons, or you could cover your own button and, fussy cut where you want your what pattern you want to see on your button, like on this one. I did it so the little starfish shows, so you can see that little starfish. But I have a real easy way for putting these buttons on. So let me show you that. What I do is I take a piece of thread and I double it. Let me see here. Let me trim this. I double it and I stick 2 pieces through my needle. So I'm going to lay my 2 pieces here in my little thread, my little needle threader, which I love, by the way. This is like one of my favorite tools because I know there's a hole in that needle, but I really can't see it very well anymore. So I love this little needle threader. You stick your needle in the slot, you lay your thread across it, you make sure your needle is all the way down, you push the button, and it threads it. So that's like a little gift right there, a little present. So then I make sure this is even, because normally what people do is, well, and then I'm going to tie a knot in the end. And when I tie a knot, I just cross it over my finger like this, wrap it around. Whoop, hang on, I got a loose end there. Okay, so I wrap it around like this and cross it, so it's crossed, and then I just roll it and then pull it with my fingers, so it just makes a nice little knot. But a lot of times what people try to do when they're putting on a button is they try to do it one string at a time. This way, I have 4 strings going through at a time. So then what you're going to do with your stuffed pillow, and you'll do it with stuffing in it, is you'll come in from the back like this, and you'll find the middle where you want your button to be. And your button will come through, and you'll put your button on here. So let me get one of these fun old, I'll do this yellow one. It has a shank on it on the back there. I can just put my thread through. And then when you're doing yours, it'll be stuffed. So you're going to like push that sucker down, and you're going to put your thread and come right back through. Then the cool thing is, the way I do this is I just pull out my 2 threads and tie a knot on the back. You know, I shove it down and then tie this knot in there, and then you don't have to go through and through and through. I hope that made sense to you. So like on this one right here, you can see way down in here, see there's a little knot of thread. And I just, you know, push my needle down in there, and you can push it hard enough so that, you know, you can get even a little short needle can go through there. And then, you know how when you do Christmas presents and you put your finger on there and somebody ties the knot? I usually have somebody help me with that so I can tie my knot nice and tight. And then you have a darling little Sprocket pillow to use that was just out of your scraps. So we hope you enjoyed this tutorial on the Sprocket pillow from the Missouri Star Quilt Company.